One Zambia, one nation, and welcome to Zanis News. Let us quickly look at the top stories in the news. Parliament urged to support 2024 budget realignments. Mbala General Hospital receives mortuary unit. Construction of Chief Chinkanta's Palace commences. Plus Zicta warns against scammers. With the news in detail, my name is Margaret Kangwa. Now, President Hakainde Hichilema has urged Parliament to support the 2024 budget realignments to address the country's urgent needs such as food security in view of the drought situation. And President Hichilema says government is impressed with the increase in locally produced and quality products on the Zambian market that meet international standards. The head of state said this will spur economic and social development in the country. Kalan Muchima reports that President Hichilema said this when he addressed Parliament on the progress made in the application of national values and principles.
Article 9.2 of the Zambian Constitution mandates the Republican President to report to Parliament on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. In fulfilling this constitutional provision, President Hakainde Hichilema addressed the Parliament and the nation as a whole on Friday, March 15th.
The 2024 national budget is being reviewed to move resources, Madam Speaker, away from consumption expenditure, habits, bad habits, workshops, perpetual workshops, to meet to talk about the next meeting. No, money will be moved away from those areas, which you, the parliamentarians, had already approved. We're now asking you to revisit that and move money to areas such as water harvest, feeding our people, to start with, Madam Speaker. Priority is to feed our people. And then to move into sustainable irrigation-based agriculture with higher productivity levels. That's the core. And we do believe this House will support this budget realignment.
The President, in his address, expressed happiness at the increase in locally produced products in the country, leading to economic progress.
As government, we are duty-bound to promote the production and consumption of local products and services. It is gratifying, I must say, Madam Speaker, to note that our citizens are now and increasingly consuming locally produced products. Thank you for that. But it's also evident that the quality of local products is on the upward trend. And that is important as well. And we would like to see a continuation in the quality of locally produced products for competitiveness, but also to give satisfaction to consumers, local as they may be.
The head of state further updated the country on some of the achievements made with regards to fighting corruption.
We remain firmly committed to upholding the tenets of good governance and integrity. Our resolve is underscored by the measures we've instituted in the fight against corruption and maladministration. Madam Speaker, we are making progress in our fight against corruption to strengthen collaboration and the efficiency among law enforcement agencies. Government established the Asset Recovery Inter-Agency Coordination Framework in 2023. Through this framework, millions of kwacha, I must say, Madam Speaker, millions of kwacha, maybe some members of our community, our country do not know, but millions of kwacha in movable, non-movable assets, including cash, have been recovered.
Zambia turns 60 on October 24th, 2024, and the President Hichilema has a message for the country as we count down to that important day.
To enhance national unity, the United Party for National Development, UPND, New Dawn administration has ensured that the recruitment of public service workers, such as teachers, health workers, defense and security personnel, is based on merit. Further, the recruitments have been transparently undertaken for the first time in a long time at all districts across the country.
After his official address, the president took time to interact with members of parliament, both from the speaker's right and left, before heading to the Mulungushi International Conference Center for yet another important assignment, the youth in Davao. Kalan Uchima reporting for Zanis in Osaka.
Meanwhile, various stakeholders have welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's address to Parliament on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. And Chief Chisunka of Mansa District says some of the issues which were addressed by President Hichilema, such as rampant early marriages in communities, should be tackled by applying national values and principles. The traditional leader was speaking in an interview after the head of state addressed Parliament in Lusaka today. Sunday Walia gives us the details.
Various stakeholders have welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's address to Parliament on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Chief Chisunka of Mansa District of Luapula Province has praised President Hakainde Hichilema for the national address.
We need to stand up as traditional leaders to see to it that all these things which are being addressed by the president, we implemented it. We don't want to see our communities to start burning our bushes as early or anyhow. We want to protect our environmentals. Because of this climate change, we have seen that in other parts of the provinces there's no rains. We need to stand up and see to it that all our children have to go to school because of this free education which the president has heavily touched. And also we are happy to discourage people to go and buy products from outside country. So those are also good implementation from the president, what he has just addressed. There's more which has just addressed, unless there's anything which I didn't touch. The president has just said it open. It's now up to the councils to implement the programs at the council or at the district level. We have seen some councils, they're not even doing well. More especially where I come from, I was even arguing in Mansa district. We have seen that some of the projects from 2022 up to now, they haven't yet done. So that's what now we want to see to leaders, traditional leaders. We need to also to talk to the council, to councillors, to civic leaders, and also to the mayors.
And Cabinet University lecturer who teaches constitutional and international law, Michelle Manda, shared her thoughts on the subject.
I really feel that this was a wonderful speech, very loaded, and really it would take time to in fact digest it and study it. But some of the points which he made, which made an impact on me in particular, had to do with an update he provided on how the government is fulfilling its duties concerning democracy, constitutionalism and the rule of law. And in that area you could see that government is making efforts to fulfill its obligations under the law, and that nationwide there's a lot of sensitivity going on. So I think in that regard we can see a clear change from what was prevailing several years ago.
Dr. Sande Mwape is Director National Guidance and Religious Affairs and also reaffirmed the important role values and principles play in shaping people's lives in the country.
What is it that we are involved with? Today what you've heard the President talking to the nation about the national values and principles, this is our principal accountability. This is the main work that we have, which is driven by the Vice President herself to ensure that all the line ministries, all the provinces and departments, they implement the national values and principles. You are aware that it's constitutional. Every institution is mandated that when they are reviewing, they are enacting policies, and when they are writing their mandatory works, they need to account for the national values and principles.
For Zanis in Osaka, I am Sunday Warrior.
Now, on health news, Minister of Health Sylvia Masewo says the actualization of the digitalized health information system in the health sector will reduce costs that come with paper-based systems. And Ms. Masebo said this in a speech read on her behalf by Health Permanent Secretary in charge of administration, Christopher Simonga, at the launch of the 6 key documents and guidelines in Lusaka. In Northern Province, the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency has delivered the mortuary unit to Mbala General Hospital. Mbala Member of Parliament Njavwa Simutowe says the procurement of the mortuary unit for the hospital will help to address the challenges that the people of Mbala were experiencing. Speaking when he conducted the tour of the mortuary, Mr. Simutowe, who is also Luapula Province Minister, says the coming of the equipment will allow the hospital to have a big capacity for mortuary services. And Mbala District Commissioner Jester Sikazwe, who accompanied the lawmaker, reaffirmed the government's commitment towards addressing the challenges the hospital is facing. And Mbala General Hospital Superintendent Emmanuel Sivale thanked the government for the gesture.
On behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, today again I'm at Mbala General Hospital, where I'm commissioned this configuration at the mortuary at Mbala General Hospital, just to recommend the management of Mbala General Hospital and the leadership of this beautiful distance Mbala officially commissioned this. Thank you very much.
Machine on behalf of government and the leadership of our President, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. The government of the Republic of Zambia has provided this machine through ZAMSA. It's a plus to our Mbala residents because, as you know, the population is growing. So it will really help us as people of Mbala. We really thank the government for bringing this machine to Mbala. Thank you.
To give us this mortuary unit in managing these deceased patients. So the machine is as a capacity of 6, as you can see. It can accommodate 6 bodies at a go, which is a plus for us. It will really help the institution to alleviate the challenges used to go, because most of the units we had were old and we used to run down most of the time. So basically, I would like to thank the local leadership for their support and the government in general for this gesture that are given to the institution. Thank you.
Still in health news, the United States government has donated deployable infectious diseases detection labs and cholera supplies to Zambia to combat the disease and enhance the surveillance of infectious diseases. The donated items, which includes liquid and granulated chlorine and oral rehydration salt, among others, have been donated to the Ministry of Health through the Zambia National Public Health Institute. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Donor Coordination, George Sinyangwe, has praised the U.S. government for the supplies, saying they will go a long way in enhancing the delivery of the healthcare services in the country. And U.S. Department of Defense Office of Strategic Capital Representative Blake Sorrell says the support to Zambia is aimed at the country's ability to detect and address infectious disease outbreak. And U.S. Centers for Disease Control epidemiologist Mary Warrell says the organization has invested in Zambian healthcare institutions and systems so that the country is able to prevent, detect, investigate, and respond to any disease outbreaks.
$50 barrels of liquid chlorine, granulated chlorine, and oral rehydration salts. Additionally, we are receiving 33,000 packets of oral rehydration salts and approximately 3,500 small bottles of chlorine for family and home use. and 300 large bottles of chlorine for commercial use.
The OSC proudly supported a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Defense. Also, a memorandum of understanding between ZNPHI and MOD. This creates abundant opportunities for the two entities to work together, such as providing training and resources to medical professionals.
Through the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has worked closely with the Ministry of Health for more than 20 years. And in 2013, the U.S. government, through CDC, helped to establish the National Public Health Institute, ZNPHI, to strengthen public health systems in Zambia. Since then, we have worked side by side with MOH and ZNPHI to address outbreaks and public health emergencies, including this cholera outbreak. We have invested in Zambian institutions and systems so that Zambia is able to prevent, detect, investigate, and respond to outbreaks.
We continue with the news. Now, Senior Chief Shakumbila of the Sala people of Shibuyunji and Mumba districts have appealed to mining investors to take development in areas they operate from. And the traditional leader said this during the handover of newly constructed sanitation facilities at Shamukombo Market by X-Point Investment Limited, valued at 500,000 kwacha. Kruger Siankulu covered the event and now reports.
It is the launch of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence One-Stop Center in Senior Chief Shakumbila's chiefdom in Mumwa district, intended to provide support and resources to survivors of gender-based violence. The establishment of the center has been supported by the Law Association of Zambia.
The people are excited, just as we as the Law Association of Zambia are excited to be a part of this project, because we believe in protecting women, children and men against the vice of gender-based violence. So what this shop is going to be doing is people are going to be able to come here to report all their cases. Now we have got a place where they can quickly run to. There was not a shop or an office that they could come to quickly to report cases.
Area Mumbwa Police Officer Commanding Chiamba Kayombo says his office is committed to enforcing the law and holding accountable those who will commit GBV-related offenses.
Once you are found wanting, we will not look at your face, who you are. Now, as long as you are a GBV perpetrator, now we are going to face you as such.
Senior Chief Shakumbila has urged his subjects to stand against the marrying off of young girls and other harmful practices.
The law, under the right age, will be taken to jail. Even banning in the bush, the minister was here, he told us that we should inform you. Also when you go to jail for 14 years. Oh no.
Kruger Siankulu, Zanis, Mumbwa.
And the Ministry of Labour and Social Security Director of National Productivity Development, Mayamba, says retired and older citizens have the productive capacity to contribute to the country's development, as they have massive skills and experience in their various fields. And Mr. Mayamba said this during the stakeholder dissemination on the research finding on policy mapping for enhancing the productive capacity of older persons in Lusaka. Sarah Miti filed in this report.
Older people in Zambia have traditionally been considered as a reservoir of indigenous knowledge and traditions and culture, which they have been passing on to the younger generations. Government is alive to the capacity of the knowledge that the older people have in contributing to the economic development of the country beyond the indigenous knowledge and the need for policy that will support them in their working space. A policy mapping research on the enhancement of the productive capacity for the older people was conducted, and results were disseminated to stakeholders today. Ministry of Labour and Social Security Director for National Productivity Development, Cyprian Mayamba, explains the importance of including other people in national development.
Retiring or attaining a senior age does not relegate us to being liabilities. Instead, we should remain assets who can contribute positively to the development of this country. This initiative, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, has the potential for us to achieve, on one hand, the ability to reduce other people's vulnerability and hence needing support from government and other partners. Because we are realizing the potential and capacity of other persons in contributing to the economic development.
The founders of the study, Help Age International, say they have supported the program because of the importance of older people in the social and economic growth of a country.
We are increasingly focused on supporting decent work and productive employment for older people. And this is in recognition of older people's need and desire to remain economically active and to keep contributing to their societies. And also in recognition that they do have a huge bank of knowledge, wisdom, skills and experience and abilities to do so.
And advocates for older people say older people in Zambia face several challenges which hinder on their productivity, including lack of access to finance.
There is a report that we are launching this morning. It is a study that is trying to look at gaps that are existing in our policies and in our legislation. So this study has some policy recommendations. So our role as Stop Zambia will be to ensure that we try to follow through these policy recommendations and ensure that in our policies and legislations of government, we infuse in these gaps. We infuse in these recommendations so that we can address the gaps. Financial inclusion is actually one that has been identified by this, and it hinders productivity because for you to be productive, you need to have the money to do the work.
A 77-year-old retiree has, however, expressed concern that the old and retired in the informal sector are sidelined and called for their inclusion in policy discussions.
We don't think about the people that work in the villages. How old are they? When we can we say this person is an elderly person and is fit to be regarded as a retired person? But so the problem that we have in Zambia is to look at retirement from the point of view of an office worker, a government office worker, somebody who is in formal employment. But then those who are in informal employment, we don't regard them as, we don't take care of them as such.
Sarah Miti for Zanis in Lusaka.
Thank you for that report. Now, more in the news, media practitioners have commended the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit and African Risk Capacity for organizing a media training workshop on disaster risk management. And Q2 FM News editor Ivan Sinjela says journalists have been empowered with information which provides a better understanding of terminologies used in the work of disaster. And Lakson Makosa is in Siavonga now, gives us the report.
Journalists attending the 2 days disaster risk management media training workshop in Siavonga have described the workshop as informative and educative. Some journalists spoken to by Zanis share their impressions on the media workshop.
By African Risk Capacity and the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit in collaboration with the World Food Programme has been very insightful. Many of the times that we take for granted, people fail to differentiate as journalists between a disaster and an emergency. So they took us through what an emergency is, what a disaster. We also learned that only 2 disasters have been declared by 2 presidents.
The workshop has been very informative. Coming here has been very productive because most of the things that we've learned, it's something that I never knew. I never used to understand what a disaster is and an emergency. I used to think an emergency is also like a disaster.
The workshop has been very informative, especially me, who's been reporting more on climate change and just being enlightened on how best I can report on this very important subject. I mean, we always say climate change is here to stay.
Journalists have since implored the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit and African Risk Capacity to consider extending the training of disaster risk management to other parts of the country so that more journalists receive training in disaster risk management reporting.
Risk Capacity and DMMU is that they should conduct more of these trainings to journalists across the country, especially where disasters happen, the districts that have been affected, to ensure that people are well vested, journalists understand, so that they are able to report effectively and correctly and accurately on these matters.
Spread the word and continue educating the journalists on best practices of reporting on climate change, on risks that come with such a situation.
Facilitators expressed satisfaction with the participation level of journalists during the 2 days workshop.
From several parts of the country are infused by the information being impacted on them. And from what I've seen so far, the journalists are attentive and they are excited about the training, and they are assimilating the knowledge which is being shared by experts. And as you have been seeing, DMMU also has been giving out information which is very relevant and timely to the situation we are in. And even other partners like African Risk Capacity has also been doing a great job.
The 2 days disaster risk management workshop has since closed in Siavonga district. For Zanis, I'm Lakson Makodza.
Now, government has commenced the construction of Chief Chikanta's Palace in Dundumwezi constituency in Kalomo district at a cost of 4.2 million kwacha. Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Henry Kapata, who is on a tour of CDF projects in Southern Province, visited the construction site. We have details in this report.
This marks the beginning of the construction of Chief Chikanta's Palace in Dundumwezi constituency in Kalomo district. The construction of 4.2 million kwacha was awarded to the Zambia Correctional Service, and all the materials are already on site. The Minister of Information and Media Director spokesperson Henry Kapata has visited the site.
Government recognizes the importance of traditional rulers. You can see now that these such projects that bring about the decency of structures for our traditional rulers across the country. And so this is one issue that the President has been very much passionate about, the issue of decency in structures with regards to traditional rulers' palaces.
Kalomo District Commissioner Joshua Sigaduri is happy with the commencement of the works.
As per presidential directives that all the chiefs must have, their palaces be constructed by the government. So you can see the material has been already put in place.
The contractor is Zambia Correctional Service, and they were awarded this project at an amount of 4.2 million.
I'm sure within 3 months we can able to push to the game level. Sure.
The construction of this palace has cheered the traditional leaders.
Initiative nimbo tumaningi kuma chief domuonse kambo muma palaces mumwi ngagwina nganda yaba mwami ibonekera bobo tagwepe ene yajitiga nchibo tumaningi.
Costa Kimdenda, Zanis, in Kalomo district, Southern Province.
Now, also in the news, the Department of Social Welfare in Chilanga District has reintegrated 12 children with their families from childcare facilities in the last quarter of 2023 under the Intensive Family Support Program. District Social Welfare Officer Imelda Ngoma says the program is a pilot one being supported by United Nations Children's Fund and are promoting family-based child care. More in this report.
The Children's Code Act number 12 of 2022 stipulates that institutional care for children should only be used as a last resort for those separated from their families due to abuse, neglect, or orphanhood. In collaboration with UNICEF, the government is implementing the Intensive Family Support Program to promote family-based alternative care. The Department of Social Welfare in Chilanga District is one of the districts piloting this program.
This program is to see to it that children are brought up within families and that children are not taken to childcare facilities, which should be a last measure of resort. So as a district, we have been working with this project and we have made headways. So currently, we are already working with the childcare facilities and we are already identifying children that have families and also ready to be reintegrated. So in the last quarter, we managed to reintegrate at least a total of 12 children. And apart from the reintegration, even the families of these children were assessed and all the challenges were given to us. So some of the families, about 15 families, were equally empowered and the children were integrated back to these families. So the families are happy to have the children back and also are happy with this program because all the children at home will equally benefit from that provision of empowerment.
Elizabeth Mvola, a social worker from Mothers Without Borders, highlights challenges faced by children in child care facilities.
So, with my experience in running a child care facility, I believe it's a measure of last resort for any child. It's not okay for a child to grow up in a facility because these children are not given the needed attention to groom the livelihood, the childhood at large. But in a home, they're provided with good values, good upbringing, and they're nurtured in a good way to enhance their overall development.
Gloria Siwulonde, Programs Officer at Kafue Child Development Agency, urges the government to ensure the safety of children during the integration process back into their families.
I'd like to add is that the families should be well prepared and that more emphasis should be put on the families by the government. The families should be prepared, they should be aware of the children's needs, the children's rights, they should be prepared to take care of the children and to safeguard them because children are exposed also to different dangers within the family that even the families taking them in needs to be aware of so that children are better protected.
Miles Kavengo for Zanis in Chilanga District, Lusaka.
Still on child issues, government has advised the public against resolving matters involving child violation privately as it promotes the continuation of child abuse, which occurs in various forms. And Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Director in charge of Child Development, Beatrice Muyambango, has advised the public to familiarize themselves with the Children's Code Act so as to understand their responsibility in child protection. Still with more stories to come, but for now, let us take a break. We'll be right back shortly.
Dive into the Women's Month with great entertainment on Topstar. Enjoy the best of sports, series, movies, plus more for only 180 kwacha monthly subscription. Antenna Classic OD Smart. Get set for a football roller coaster with the Bundesliga as Henry Kane's Bayern Munich continue to chess log leaders Bayer Leverkusen for the top sport. Also revel in the excitement of the Saudi Pro League and witness football giants Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Mane, and Fashion Sakala all in action. But there is more exciting content. Extend your entertainment to movie channels on Topstar. Intrigue yourself and family with the latest and freshest action movies on ST Movies Plus, mysterious and blockbusters on Filmbox, and the best of comedy movies on ST Zone.
Oh, that was worse, huh?
Every day. So, what are you waiting for? Download the StarTimes On app and enjoy content on the go. Subscribe today. Topstar. Enjoy digital life.
Thank you for staying tuned to the news. We now continue. Government has constructed a 1x3 classroom block at Pamozi Combined Primary School at a cost of 720,000 kwacha using the Constituents Development Fund CDF. And Chifu Member of Parliament says the commissioning of the structure will help reduce the challenges of learning infrastructure at the school. Now, in Western Province, One Heart Women Club in Kaoma District has commended government through the Gender Division for empowering the club with 250 chicks. Club chairperson Josephine Mukubuta says the empowerment will help improve their livelihoods. Kawe District Commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa says energy and its products and services are key drivers for sustained economic growth in the country. Mr. Shimwambwa said this in a speech read on his behalf by the District Administrative Officer Hansa Mungalu during an Energy Regulation Board engagement meeting in Kawe. And finally, in the news, the Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority has called on the community members in Masaiti District to take preventive measures to ensure that they avoid being scammed. Now, speaking during a ZICTA cybersecurity awareness program, Copperbelt Regional Officer warned the community to avoid sharing information that will expose them to scammers. Here are the details.
Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority has trained members of the community in Masaiti District on how to be cautious about information sharing and strengthening of phone passwords to avoid cybercrimes.
Passwords chintu chikangala sana because the number one protection padi dia phone mukwepe. Because a
password is very important and it should be a strong password.
So strong password which comprise ama letters, ama numbers, not ma character. So example I saw that Masaiti 2024 hash. NRC chikupa ni personal and private na papaka. Ya kupera from mtu lepto donze.
NRC and phone numbers are very important and should remain private.
Those of us in bank accounts, NAPSA, NIMA, Social Security, everything is linked to that number. Echo tuleranda team, echo tulepere 15 to feel careful.
Masaiti District Administration Officer is happy about the sensitization program.
Madam, here in Masaiti, we have experienced issues of scammers. Many of our people have been swindled out. Certain phone or messages will come on the phone that you have received the money, the loan is approved. In the process, thousands of kwatas have been wasted through scammers. So your coming is very, very, very important. And we are grateful that you have chosen the group, those who are involved in terms of exchange of monies through their business connections and other issues related to the business which are happening in our district.
The community now know the general cyber security tips and can call 7070 toll-free line to get help. Mary Chola for Zanis in Masaiti District on the Copperbelt Province.
Thank you for that report, and it brings us to the end of the news. Before I finish, we look at these top stories in the news. Parliament urged to support 2024 budget realignments. Mbala General Hospital receives mortuary units. Construction of Chief Chinkanta's Palace commences. Plus ZICTA warns against scammers. On behalf of the entire news production crew here at Zanis, thank you so much for staying with us. It has been Margaret Kangwa. Enjoy the rest of our programming. Stay tuned.